Hi folks, Baz the Garage Strongman. Just a quick video. Breaking news, I suppose, at the moment. I've just read on Twitter that Thor said he won't compete again for the Giants Live lot, or hence at World's Strongest Man. This is the character assassination, really, that they've done on him. They served up that fella that looked like an impartial sort of guy to sort of edit together the footage behind the scenes, if you like, following the, what should we call it, disagreement, I suppose, at World's Strongest Man 2017, where Eddie Hall won, but Thor felt he was a bit hard done by, particularly on the Viking press, where he lost a rep for double dipping. I don't personally feel he was hard done by at the time. You can see it back, and he is catching it with soft knees there, and he is then extending, so you are effectively double dipping. He had plenty of warnings as well. Colin eventually took one rep off him. Now, of course, this wasn't a problem, this wasn't an issue. Eddie followed, Eddie beat it with time to spare. It became an issue afterwards with his sort of entourage, if you like, winding him up, saying, well, who knows what they said in his ear, but he's always surrounded by his own people. Then came a protest that he felt he should have been given that rep, which also would have given him an extra point or half a point. I'm not sure what it was. But obviously that, the judge's decision is final, and that stood. Following that, there was more allegations, more rumblings. He wasn't happy. He felt Eddie had known about the events, had prior knowledge or knew about them longer than he did, for example. And there's been that bad blood. Ed felt that detracted from him and his one win. And I can understand that. It did look like bad sportsmanship. I've also, I felt at the time that it looked bad. I can understand where Thor was coming from. He's narrowly missed out a couple of times. He had that a year or two before where he had a nightmare on the squat where he was winning the event and he lost it. So he's put a lot of pressure on himself. He's had these narrow misses. He's been on the podium, I think, 8 times. So, he's been there or thereabouts, and he's obviously very desperate to win it. I appreciate him being that sort of much of a competitor. I guess before seeing Brian Shaw in more formal setting now, I never used to like him that much because he was that in the zone. He didn't put across as much of his personality, and being the old enemy, I suppose, the Yanks, we love to try and beat them, but since seeing him, his personality on more social media and strongest man in history, I've come to like him a lot more and sort of respect where he was at. So I sort of give Thor that I wouldn't hold that against him, but I definitely didn't like how you'd always see him with his entourage, and he didn't seem very personal with the other competitors and all. So I think he was crossing over. I wouldn't say bad sportsmanship, but it certainly wasn't what we come to expect from the strongman as a sport. But okay, give him that. And then sort of afterwards, the bad blood continued, as I say, and he did feel hard done by. So that's fine. That this rivalry continuing, I thought was good for the sport. And that's continued with the deadlift record. I think doing it behind closed doors, as he didn't have any choice. And Eddie, saying that's. It's just not going to take his record like that. It won't be an official world record. And the feud again erupting. I thought it's only good for the sport. Yes, it's a bit handbags. It's a bit... But, you need those characters. You need that drama. Like Evan Singleton, for example, is a big act, I think. He comes across as this brash American, but, I'm told he's not like that really. It's a bit of a persona. And, again, love him or hate him, it raises the profile, it gets attention for the sport, which again can only be good. But yeah, it's it's gone a bit sour now, I think, with that video that they released. Obviously came from the Giants Live guys, you know, they provided all the footage to this independent guy, and you know, on face value, you know, it showed Thor in a poor light. Obviously, you know, he was going to come across in a somewhat poor light, but you know, showing him not shake Ed's hand. And I thought at the time, I would have remembered that, because you know, it's something that was instilled in me from a young age, and I didn't, and I thought, wow, I must have missed that. And now it looks like they've fiddled it, they've kind of edited it, they've paused it, because there was a pause between Ed offering his hand, but Thor did shake it, and they've left that out, they've cut it, they've slowed it down and paused it, like he left Ed hanging there. And that's just out of order, because they played that first as well, so it already put that negative spin in your head. You know, it's biased what you then watch. You're watching it thinking, bastard, he didn't shake Ed's hand, and of course he did. So I think that's bad. Official Strongman have since taken it down. It's still there on Ed's channel if you want to check it out, but on Nick's Strongman page, I think that's what it's called, I'll put a link to it, he sort of debunks it, if you like, and you know, and now Thor's come out probably further upset by this, and said he won't compete for them again. Now, as I said, I didn't mind the boxing even, you know, this feud, I thought again it was raising the profile. I started to think, if he's going to dedicate himself to this, maybe he won't compete this year. And there was that hoo-ha about not being invited, but nobody's been invited yet. And then, you know, other people have come out and said, oh, previous winners are always invited anyway, so it was a moot point. Was Thor looking for it first? I don't know. But now, with that sort of nail in the coffin, he's come out and said he won't compete for them again. Now, again, I don't know if this is hype, and maybe he'll come back and it'll be a big, you know, a big comeback and fuss made of that. I mean, I hope so, but you know, if he's not going to compete again, I think it's a big loss. I think for me, he's the best at the moment, and I don't want to see another era like the Kazmai era, where you know the best isn't there. You know, it's a blot on the copybook, really. You know, Kaz not being invited for 4 years as it was, and being away ultimately for 6. Sad times. I don't want to see that again, and the best, the current best, not be there for one reason or another. It just weakens the sport. So let me know what you think, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop us a thumbs up, and please subscribe for future Strongman content. I'm Bazagarish Strongman. See you soon.